Hi everyone, welcome. FPL Matt Day here. This is some extra content for you in preparation for the double game weeks in Game Week 23 and Game Week 25, and just some of my thoughts and tips leading up to this game week and also Game Week 24 and 25, as we have had another double game week announced for Game Week 25. Before I get underway, if you can please like this stream, all of the support is really appreciated. And if you are new around here, please hit the subscribe button so you do not miss an upload. If you can also please get your comments in, let me know your thoughts on this stream. But look, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with my current thoughts and what we've seen as a reaction so far to game week 22. That is still ongoing. As I am recording this, we do still have the Manchester United versus Leeds game in the morning. So that game is still to go. But I'll give some of my initial thoughts first on that one. And obviously, with this one game to go, it's kind of yet to be seen how the triple captain options on Bruno and Rashford are going to go. But with Leeds now losing their manager, Jesse Marsch has been sacked. You'd probably expect Man United to win this one comfortably. Leeds haven't appointed anyone up until now. And what I would say with this one game to go, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes and the triple captain is looking really, really strong. And it's looking like those that made that decision are going to come out looking pretty good. Rashford's obviously already got the goal and the assist. Bruno Fernandes has the goal. What we did see is he's on pens. So that was a really big plus point for managers and owners. Also, he's got Leeds next in the second game, which is his favourite team to play against. I'd mentioned on previous streams, he's got 6 goals in 4 games against them, including a couple of assists as well. His favourite team to play. So looking at that, it does lead me into this double game week 23, where I'm getting a lot of questions, a lot of people asking me what to do with Bruno Fernandes, because there's people that own Odegaard, there's people that own Odegaard and Bruno, and they don't own Saka, and they're saying, do I get Saka in now? It's a tough call because you get Saka in now, you get 2 games out of him this week, then you get game week 24, and then game week 25, you also get 2 games out of him in a double game week, and you don't get any out of Fernandes because Man United missed that game week, which I'll get onto soon. But I do think at the moment, with Leeds being managerless, if he does get some points in this home game at Old Trafford, it may be worth, if you are looking at taking a hit to bring in a second player and take up Bruno Fernandes this weekend, it might even be worth keeping him for now. Maybe banking up your transfers for future games. Probably looks like Bruno could potentially outscore some of the double game week players this weekend against the managerless Leeds. Man United are looking really good. So, yeah, it's a very, very tricky one. I own Bruno Fernandes. At this stage, I'm probably going to keep him for this Leeds game on the weekend. I own Odegaard. I own Ben White. I'm probably going to look at bringing in Nketiah for Tony and make that move. And then I will look to then try and bring in Saka, navigate him in, and maybe move on to someone like Ben White, and then navigate Saka in for the game week 25. So, it's an interesting one. But I think, think about it. See how Bruno looks in this game against Leeds first. Because if he does end up scoring a couple of goals or a goal and an assist, you're probably not going to want to lose him when he's on this type of form. And with him being on pens and Leeds being managerless. So that's some of my thoughts at the moment with these players. Another thought on game week 22. Obviously, going into game week 23, Manchester City have 2 games. They've got Aston Villa at home and Arsenal away, which is a really big game in this title race. But you've got to be cautious on Man City players at the moment. We saw against Spurs something not right at Man City at the moment. I know there's all this other stuff that's come out now, with the potential fines and sanctions that could come their way. Guardiola's comments haven't been too favourable after the Spurs game. And there's not much coming out of it that kind of makes you too excited. So I'd be cautious with Man City players. I still think Haaland, obviously, he's the main one you keep. Probably going to be everyone's captain for this game week. But in terms of bringing in the likes of Mahrez, we saw him subbed off after 60 minutes. He's just not safe. De Bruyne didn't start the game against Spurs. A lot of people think it now means he plays both games in this double game week, which I do think will happen. I think this is the time they will release De Bruyne back into the team and he'll come in and, he should maybe come into his own in both of the games, or at least one of the two games. But again, I wouldn't be, moving my whole team just to bring in De Bruyne, or to bring in Man City players for this double, because something isn't quite right there at this moment in time. So I'd say Man City players, with caution for now. You've got Haaland. I think that's okay. If you've still got De Bruyne and Haaland, that's fine. But I wouldn't be moving heaven and earth to bring in a De Bruyne or a Mahrez. Even though there's the two games, not so sure for now. But let's go into Arsenal for double game week 23. So they've got Brentford at home, on form team Brentford. Arsenal obviously just losing to Everton. And then they've got Manchester City at home in the next game. I think for me, the best triple up you can have is Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah. Obviously, Saka's on pens, Odegaard's on set pieces, and Nketiah is guaranteed those minutes while Jesus is injured. A lot of people can't get to that triple up, so I think if you've got at least two of the three, you're okay. If you can get in all three, brilliant. But if you can't because you've got Ben White, Odegaard, and Nketiah already, I think that's still okay. Two of the three is fine. Again, I look at this double game and I think, what to do in terms of hits. A -4 is probably okay, but I wouldn't be going a -8 or a -12 for this game week, because the Man City Arsenal game, it could be a 1-1 draw, or it could be a 0-0 draw. And then if you've got, the Arsenal defender or the Man City defender, you're then going to be getting more points from it in that way. These games can be quite low scoring and quite tight. That's something else to look at. That second game is going to be very tough, and they could cancel each other out, which could be good for owners of Ben White. It's obviously that first game against Brentford that you'll be looking at some points from these Arsenal attacking players, but Brentford are a very tough team at the moment, and they don't let many goals in. But still, that's my favourite Arsenal triple up: Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah. But again, two of the three, I think, is enough for this game week. So that's game week 23. I've got some differentials that I like for this game week in captains, which I will speak about in my deadline day podcast, which will be on Friday this week. So stay tuned on the YouTube for that one. I'll also be doing my Twitter thread as well. Let's go on to game week 25. Big news in this one: Brighton, Newcastle, Man United, and Brentford will miss game week 25 because of the Carabao Cup final. So the League Cup final is on that day. Man United and Newcastle play each other. Those fixtures will get moved to another date that were missed. But it does mean if you've got the likes of Solly March, Matoma, Kieran Trippier, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Luke Shaw, Ivan Toney, they will miss that game week. So you need to prepare for game week 25. For me, I think I've got about 7 players that are going to be missing. With maybe a -4 this week, a -4 in game week 24, and a transfer in game week 25, I could potentially then bench some of these players, the likes of Kieran Trippier. I can bench Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, and I could look at selling some of the other players that I've got. I'd probably say if you've got to take a couple of -4s, so you're not then using your free hit in game week 25, I don't see a huge problem with that, especially if you've already got your triple Arsenal in there. Because that is one of the main teams that double in game week 25, which I will go on to in a second. But I think if you can prepare your transfers with a couple of hits, and you can potentially save that free hit without having to use it in game week 25, then that is that's a good strategy. I think that's fine. I do think we're going to get better double game weeks down the track, with the likes of Brighton, Newcastle, Man United, and Brentford having a second game. It's a lot better than this other double game week that's been announced, which I will go through now. So the double game weeks have been announced. I'm just going to read them now. You've got Fulham versus Wolves, Liverpool versus Wolves. So 2 games there for Wolves, 2 away games as well. Yeah, Wolves are a very hit and miss team. Then we've got Leicester versus Arsenal, Arsenal versus Everton. You've got to look at that as favourable for Arsenal. Leicester concede a lot of goals. Everton at home. New manager bounce with Dyche. They did just beat Arsenal in the reverse fixture, but at the Emirates, you'd still back Arsenal to win that game. So you've got to think you'll triple Arsenal that you probably very highly likely have. It's going to be very good for that game week. And then Liverpool away at Palace and then at home to Wolves. Right now, you probably don't even want one Liverpool player with their form, let alone three of them. Should you use a free hit for this one? I just don't think it's going to be worth it. I don't think the fixtures are there. If you've already got a triple Arsenal, that's fine. You could maybe aim for someone like maybe a Calvert-Lewin. Everton with the other one. Everton against Villa, and then Arsenal beat Everton. So depending on how the manager bounce with Dyche goes, you could maybe aim for a Calvert-Lewin. I know he's let me down in the past in the double game week with a penalty miss before and an injury. So I've got some bad memories, but he could be someone to look at for someone different. Salah and Darwin Núñez, we're going to need to see something big from Liverpool in the next 2 game weeks for us to even want to consider these Liverpool players. So for me right now, I think if you've got your triple Arsenal, you might still have some Man City players for this game week away at Bournemouth as well. So you have a couple of their players probably from this game week 23. You can still keep them. So I think with them, your Arsenal triple up, maybe a Calvert-Lewin, potentially room for one Liverpool player in case they do hit form. I think you will be fine. I don't necessarily think Wolves' assets, you really, really need them in those 2 games right now. Again, it's all caution. It's all see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But these are just my pre-thoughts leading up for game week 23, which is this week. We've also got game week 24 in between that, and then game week 25. So game week 23 and game week 25 are the double game weeks. Just wanted to come in here, give some of my thoughts, give some of my tips. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're going to free hit in game week 25, if you like those fixtures, let me know in the comments. If you've got some other plans up your sleeve for game week 23, let me know. But like I said, see what happens. Be cautious that there is blank games in game week 25. Brighton, Newcastle, Man United and Brentford, who I mentioned. And there is now double game weeks. Arsenal, Wolves, Liverpool and Everton. And then this week, game week 23, we've got Manchester City and Arsenal, who both double. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. Thanks to everyone that has tuned in. Good luck for the next few game weeks. I will see you all in the next one, which will be my deadline stream on Friday night. So it'll be 24 hours before the deadline. And I'll be on there to talk all things game week 23, including my favourite differentials and my captains. I'll see you all then.